to The Hurt Is the Same. My name is Chantel Johnson, and each show is dedicated to my son, Christopher Johnson, who was the 109 homicide right here in Jackson, Mississippi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to The Hurt Is the Same. It's TGIF, baby. You see us. We live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to thank you all for joining in tonight. I want to thank Mr. Gary for this opportunity. And as you know, we're going to jump right on in. I have a guest here with me tonight. And as you know, I let people introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, my name is Angela Grayson. I'm really excited to be here with Chantel tonight. I think that her platform and what she stands for, this advocacy work she's been doing around the crime and everything of the sort here in Jackson, it is one that I'm deeply passionate about because in my capacity as the lead organizer for the Black Women Vote Coalition, we want to do some of the same things that Chantel is doing, and that's advocating for the things that matter the most to Black women right here in Jackson, right here in Hinds County, and eventually will begin to affect change across Mississippi. So thank you for having me, Chantel.
Oh, you can come back anytime you get ready. I like the cloth you cut from, girl. I liked it your granny. I liked it all your aunties and uncles.
Look, I'm so proud to be her granddaughter and their nieces and my mama's baby and all of that. So I think that's a real good place for us to start. Chantel, you already know how I am. Look at me telling you where to start on your show.
No, you good. You good, because see, guess what? They didn't tell us to shut up. We was able to express our feelings. See, we got a lot of hugs when we were little.
That's right.
That's why when I see people mad all the time, I just ask, did you get any hugs when you were little? See, our spirits connect because we was based and raised off love.
That's right. A lot of people look at us and I think it's important to mention where it is that we know each other from. So my grandparents lived on Wood Street.
Yes.
1515 Wood Street to be exact, and I went to Galloway, Rowan, and Lanier. And that place and being from that place, I feel like give us a unique experience and a unique lived experience here in Jackson, because that's a place when you get to school, people say, you live where now? You say, what now?
Oh, yeah.
But then you hear people like Chantel say, because we were raised in love. And I think that's the uniqueness of being brought up the way we were.
Well, we didn't even realize we were broke till we got grown.
That's right.
You know, that's how good our childhood was.
That's right.
You know, so hey, I just loved it. I love your family. I stayed at your house all the time. You know, you were right down the street. I knocked on plenty doors. Chantel, you know, so I always went where love was. You know, our neighborhood, we was community based. We honored our neighbors. We treat people the way you want to be treated. And I want to get back to that.
You know what? I think if we did so, we would begin to see the needle move on a lot of the things that a lot of us say are the issues. So every day, all day, we hear about what are the issues in Jackson, what, you know, the crime rates, the water issue, this, and the other. But I think at the very core of where the solutions are is community, right?
Yes.
And so that's what we're trying to do with the Black Women Vote Coalition. You would be amazed with how many women I've had conversations with over, just the last 6 to 9 months. And what I'm basically doing is asking women to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
It's coming to rooms together, talk to each other about, you know, what are those things you're most passionate about? If you could change one thing in Jackson, what would it be? Because what I've learned and what I'm hearing in the streets is, look, no matter where we come from and we are, all of us want one common thing, and that's a better lived experience in Jackson. We want to see the quality of life.
Yes.
Become better for us in Jackson.
And our kids and our grandkids.
That's right.
And our elders and our veterans and our homeless. You know, I totally agree with that. And it's going to take each and every last one of us to get involved. And you know, I used to say all the time, and people hear me say right now, when you look back at history, they give the men the credit, but the women, we was the movement.
That what? That's so right. When we look back at the movement, number one, we know that the church was foundational in every grassroots movement that we had. And who are the cornerstones, or who are gatekeepers at churches? Now we know we have our pastors who are getting up there delivering those powerful messages. But when we talk about the gatekeepers, the people who God made sure that the leaders were eating, the people who took care of the children, so those women and men on the front lines could do so. Those were just women. And that's why I think it's so important when we talk about grassroots organizing, when we talk about moving our community. I think that's why it's important to say, no, we don't put any filters on this. If you are a black woman, you're welcomed in this space because there's something that each one of us bring to the table.
Most definitely.
Like, let's just take me and Chantel for instance. When we were talking about me coming on the show, she said, well, I'm a domestic. I said, well, baby, we need everybody because it doesn't matter what walk of life you're coming from. You have an experience, and we need to make sure that your voice is heard. And I think that's why the Black Women Vote Coalition has been so successful, is because we're asking women, no matter what your background is, no matter where you are on the economic spectrum, whether you make a whole bunch of money or a little bit of money, you still deserve your voice to be heard. You still deserve representation that is responsive to what it is that you need.
Most definitely. I totally agree with all of that. And I just really wish more women would get involved. The downside to us is we so mean to one another.
Oh, let's talk about it. So we go on what you see on the outside and not what's in the inside of a person. The stereotyping among us is, it's way more than me myself can imagine of. As an adult growing up in my era with the women that I grew up with versus being a younger girl that hung around your older aunties and my older aunties and our grandparents and seeing how they did, with neighbors and friends, and even with misunderstandings, they always cooked, invited them, and got it over
with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I think, I hear you. And so when we talk about bringing women in the room, I think the way we begin to break down those walls and break down those stereotypes is we talk about the things that connect us. What are those things that connect us? If I ask you today, are you concerned with the crime rates? I'm sure you'll say, yeah. If I talk to you today and I ask you, how concerned are you about the water crisis here in Jackson? If I ask you, how would you feel if you had an opportunity to expand Medicaid coverage for mothers from 3 months to a year? I'm pretty sure you say that's a good idea. That's a solid idea, because we know that women need access to adequate health care. See, those are things that all of us have in common. So it doesn't matter what our differences are. We just need to focus on what our things we have in common, because I believe if we start making strides toward those things, then we'll begin to see those things that are not alike. We can show some grace for each other in those areas, and we'll begin to see that we're probably a whole bunch more alike than we are different.
Well, I think they're aware of that. We're going to need y'all to get off that couch and come get some hugs.
Look, love is, I've heard, and we, especially here in Jackson, we hear this saying all the time: before you can advocate for people, before you can do anything for people, you got to do what you got to love them. But I think even all of us have our different faith beliefs. My faith is deeply rooted in grace and in love. And I think if you bring those things to the table, even if you have differences, you can see your way toward a common goal.
I totally agree. If they can just come in with an open mind and stand on those grounds only, I think it will be overwhelming. I think everybody will fall in, but the easy way, the loving way, that's what we're trying to get to. We just got to break down the barriers.
You know what?
And I want to start back knocking on doors.
Well, listen,
you know,
I love it.
But now, you know, that ain't the way to do it.
No, I don't know if I agree with that, Chantel. I think that that's absolutely the way to do it. One of the cornerstones of grassroots organizing is canvassing and door knocking. I think that sometimes we get so far away from what works that, and we try to move campaigns and we want to move organizing in a more technical way, and that's cool because people who we want to talk to, just like we're here today on a digital platform, right? But I think these are things that aid door knocking. At the end of the day, people need to feel you, they need to connect with you, and there's no better way than to do that at their door. And so that's what I'm asking women to do, is join me in the Black Women Vote Coalition, because you're right, we want to get on your doors, we want to knock at your door and ask you, what is it that you would need to move Hinds County further? What is it that you think Hinds County is lacking? And will you join us to knock some more doors?
Yes. Now see, you know I love knocking on doors and talking now. Hey, you know how many places I had to carry up and down Wood Street and do that? So it will be a basic.
Right.
And you know that's all I know. But I am most definitely on board. And I think this organization is magnificent. It's perfect, you know? Unity.
Exactly. Well,
unity.
One of the things that we want to do is, and I think that other communities, our counterparts, they're doing it right. When they go to the ballot box, they're saying, in order for you to get my vote, you have to give me this thing. We know that the data says that Black women is the fastest growing demographic of voters. So since 2000, there's been a 59% increase of voters that are Black women, right? The same time frame, you look at white or non-Hispanic women voters, that has increased about 8%. So where you had probably like 13 million new Black women voters, you had about 6 million white new women voters. What does that tell us? That tells us that historically and traditionally, Black women are going to go to those polls. Not only are we going to go to the poll, but when we get there, we're going to vote in our best interest. So it's time now that if we're going to do that, if we're going to continue to vote, if we're going to continue to knock down barriers, when we get those folks in office, we need to be able to call our legislator. We need to be able to call our council person and say, hey, these are the things that matter to Black women. We need to make sure you do that. One of the things we've been working on at the Black Women Vote Coalition this last year is making sure that Black women have access to adequate health care.
Very important.
You know what? I want to tell a little story, Chantel, if it's okay with you.
Most definitely. Hey, come on, baby. That's why I got you here.
About Senate Bill 2033. Now, there was a bill that was proposed in this last legislative session, and what that bill would do is extend Medicaid coverage for pregnant mothers from 3 months to a year. That's about 9 more months of coverage, right? And why was this so important? Well, because we have data that says that 86% of Black moms who die during childbirth or during that whole postpartum period, it happens right outside of the 3 months that they have coverage. It's something that's called the 4th trimester.
Yeah.
And people don't want to talk about it, but we're dying. Black women are dying, and we're dying more than our white counterparts. We're dying more than our Hispanic counterparts because we just don't have adequate health care. So this bill was proposed by a Republican, actually, a white guy. And he put this bill up, and it had bipartisan support. And we were actually thinking that this bill was going to pass because it had bipartisan support. About 21 other states have already passed legislation like this. When it came down to Mississippi passing it, what happens? So the first thing that happened is it got stalled out in committee. It was in the Medicaid committee, and it was just sitting there. We did some huge advocacy pushes over the course of about 2 weeks. We did some advocacy pushes. We we overcalled. We did everything over. Look,
Consistency.
we overstood the assignment. So we consistently called Joey Hood, who is the chairman of the Medicaid committee. We asked their office, hey, move our bill from the Medicaid committee to the floor so that it can be voted on. We were successful in doing so. We got over 65 black women-led organizations, medical groups, all these different organizations to sign on to this advocacy push with the Black Women Vote Coalition, and we got that bill out of committee. So here's where it gets real tricky, and this is why I'm so upset about this, and this is why I believe that black women need to stand up and make sure we have our voices heard. That bill set on calendar until mid-March. So at the same time that we were doing all this advocacy around getting this bill pushed, we had our lieutenant governor and our Speaker of the House, Speaker Gunn. They were at war in a war of sorts over the income tax. Now, both of them have their own issues with the income tax. One wants it right away, the other wants it in installments. Nevertheless, Speaker Gunn says, if I don't get what I want, everything on the calendar dies. So here we have two white men who I can almost, it's not even almost, who we know have adequate health care, who we know their families have adequate health care. They're making decisions for poor black women, and they don't have rooms. They don't have any of the lived experiences of black women. So that bill died. That bill was of no consequence to the state income tax. They let and used black women in our health as collateral damage for a fight that could have gone on without that bill. That's why it is so important that we have representation that says, whoa, wait a minute. We'll fight over the state income tax, but let's get this done for women. At a time when we also are telling women we're going to have more control over your body than you. You know, just recently this summer, what did we do? We said that abortions are now illegal. They repealed Roe versus Wade, and now it's like, well, you want us to have babies, you want to force these things on us. Well, help us take care of them.
I know, right?
Women are dying in childbirth. You know what? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this 1900?
Exactly.
We have the technology. We have the medical advancements where we don't have to die.
I know it. And you know what? I heard about that, but they didn't put no buzz on. They didn't keep it in the buzz. You know, the housekeeper hear about everything. I just don't say nothing too much.
Listen, but that's why this platform is so. That's why platforms like your show is so important. That's why doing things like you mentioned earlier, going and getting on doors. That's why that's important, because a lot of us who these things affect, we don't know about it.
They don't even know it.
Now let me ask you, if you had an opportunity to make sure that black women had access to adequate health care, would you help?
I would help every single day. My consistency, y'all have been told me, baby, we ain't paying you for this. You ain't getting no gas mileage. Can you just go home?
You see what I'm saying? So I believe that most of us are like you. I believe that if we had access to good information, that we would come out and knock doors, that we would stand with each other at the Capitol.
You know, that was a hell of a misunderstanding and an argument to say for everything on the calendar go. Now that happened. I know, but I'm just saying, you can't make this up. This is happening in real life in 2021, 22 in Mississippi, and it's crazy.
It's crazy. It almost feels like it's
1949,
right? That we would have the ability to help people, and we don't. We know that black women disproportionately are already dying. We know that disproportionately black women are the ones who don't see doctors. And why don't we see doctors? Because we don't have insurance.
Right.
And even when we have insurance, we have, once you are pregnant, what becomes your focus?
Well,
the baby.
Right. And back in the day, in the state of Mississippi, you couldn't even qualify for Medicaid unless you were pregnant.
That's right.
And they cut you off and keep the baby home. Now, this was back in the early 90s and 80s.
Well, here we are in 2022, and we had an opportunity to change that. And even though it wouldn't have given us full Medicaid expansion, it still would not have been adequate health care, but at least for 1 year, women could go and have access to doctors because we're dying. And then we're suffering in silence. We're suffering from postpartum depression.
Oh, yes. That is real, y'all. But see, it's stereotype that it only happens to the women that don't look like you.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm going to say what they don't want to hear. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's stereotype among our culture to be strong. Oh, that only happened to them other people. And it's happening real rapid among us sisters. And guess what? Their parents and their grandparents and family can't even identify.
Well, one of the things I found that is interesting and one of the things I found that is useful is storytelling. We got to break these walls down, and we got to be willing and ready to sit down with young moms and say, hey, when I was pregnant, right after I had my baby, I was depressed. Right. I couldn't stand to see the baby. These things. So that brings a level of normalcy to it. So then those moms are saying, well, actually, I have been feeling this way. And then if they have adequate health care, they can then go see a qualified professional and help them through that time. We know that in that 4th month, it is so vital that mom and baby is bonding with each other. If women don't have access to health care, to see a professional, that period of time is wasted for mom and baby because mom is dealing with postpartum depression and baby is just getting the basic needs met and not that bonding. Right.
And then have to deal with everything else that's going on, other kids, work.
Right. Can you imagine being suffering from postpartum depression, worried about clean water to make bottles for your baby? And then if you just kind of layer the crime in Jackson and layer inflation, not being able to find milk for your baby. At the very basic, if you didn't have to deal with health care, that could help out so much.
Right. As they say, one less thing on your plate.
Right.
Yes, indeed. I totally agree with everything. And I'm encouraging women to get involved.
Look, so there's a number of ways we can do that. I think that one of the easiest ways to get involved is just to start talking. Start talking in your churches. Start talking in your group chats. And with your homegirls. Move the conversation. Sometimes just ask them, how are you feeling? If there was one thing that you could do to change your neighborhood, what would you do? One thing I found is that black women, we are advocates already.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. Let something happen at that school.
Oh, baby.
We're on our way, and we go and we advocate for our children. Then we have black women, just like you said, who have always been on the front lines. Right. We have black women running the administrations of political offices already, right? So now it's time for those black women to have political office. So if we have been running the office, well, now it's time for black women to run and win those seats so that we can have representation.
We need it. We need it. You know you need it. You want to call your grandmama and call a friend over at the church when you could just vote her in and go see her yourself.
There's so much conversation around training black women to be leaders. I get that, right? I get supporting black women. I get making sure that we are giving our money so that these women can run and be successful. But more important than training black women to lead, because I believe black women are already leaders. We're the most educated. The data says that we're the most educated in the United States.
Sure is.
The data says that we are voting at higher rates than other demographics. So then what's left is people being ready to receive black women leadership. That's the piece that's missing. So when we start putting these resumes in front of people and we're saying, well, I want my mayor to have A, B, and C. And then we look at who the other candidates are. Black women are surpassing your A, B, and your C, right? So why aren't they being elected? Because people have never had an option to elect black women. And we got to start being okay with black women leadership. We got to talk to the electorate and say, hey, this woman is well qualified.
Well, you
and
know,
the way we show up and support them is through our pocketbooks.
exactly. But you know, then that's when they come with, and this only in the Mississippi that I have seen, when you overqualified for a job. That's what they tell us. You know, that's the term that they use. You can't have this position. When you do submit those resumes, that's when they'll call you back and tell you, magnificent, you this, you that, but you overqualified for the position that we have.
Well, you know, in politics it's a little different because we have say in who we hire or who we elect, right? So if we bring black women into the room and we ask them what is it that you want and need, and then we give them a candidate that's meets that need, then those black women then in turn vote together as a voting block, and we get that representation that not only looks like us, has the same lived experience as us, but when they're in those rooms making decisions, when it's time to say if black women can get Medicaid expansion for postpartum moms, then we're getting yeses in places we need them, versus two men fighting over income tax and not caring about if we get adequate health care.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, most of the men, as my granny say, they one side of their brain don't start working after 50 anyway. You know. You know, a lot of them need to go, and then they've been leading us for how long and what kind of shape we in. You know, so people really take for granted how recent it is that women could even vote. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So if that is so recent, then it's even a even newer concept that women should be getting a vote.
Most definitely. You would think so. It makes sense. It go together.
So, you know, there's data that says that 50% of households in Mississippi are ran by women. If you don't have women in your cabinet, if you don't have women in your administrations, if you don't have women in top leadership positions in your administrations, in your businesses, in your schools, then you don't have a grasp on your constituent base. Because we are making decisions in our homes. We are running churches. We are running businesses. So many black women are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies now, right? So we're leading in every other arena. Right now, the state of Mississippi has, I think, less than 16% of black women representation at the state level.
You know why?
Look, but we can change that.
We gonna change it. We gonna change it.
We're gonna have to change it if we want to see our circumstances change.
And when our children grow up, they can see people that look like them.
Right. You know, a lot of people ask me why do I do this work and why I'm so passionate about this work, and it's because at the end of the day, when I'm gone, what I want my legacy to be is that I did every single thing that I could do to put black women in a position to have a better lived experience, and so that those two black girls that are mine, they don't have to face as many obstacles that I face to get them to where they are.
And that's what's bred in us. You know, me and my cousin, we was just talking. One of my other cousins, she had got so upset because of what people were saying. And we had a family discussion at the daycare. And my cousin that's a generation over me, she said, you know, we don't think we better than nobody. But Granny paved the way, so we didn't have to do the things that she done. And now we're making our footsteps in the sand to be able, so when our children grow up, it'll be better for them. See, that's what it's all about. And the quicker you humans understand that, the better off we will be. And women, let me tell y'all something. We so powerful. Oh, we so powerful. If you just know the power that you hold with your vote, you can literally put black women in place to work for you.
That's right. That's what it's going to be about. It's getting a return on our investment. What's our investment? Our investment is our vote.
Right.
So if we continue to turn out votes, in places like Georgia, when we saw that state flip from red to blue, that movement was led by black women.
Oh, I know.
Alabama, those movements all across the South, black women are showing up. And so it's now time to say, when you get in office, when you're in those legislative sessions, you need to start doing things that represent black women and let us understand that you value our votes.
When Georgia flipped, you would have thought I was over there. I'm talking about I rejoiced. I'm talking about I followed the whole thing. I was sitting in the Waffle House. People be like, Red, what's wrong with you? I said, we getting it, baby.
That's right.
Oh, we doing it. Oh, them baby, we doing it. Oh, baby, we showing up and showing out because I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they set out for a goal. And they reached it. And they reached it. And it was all black women that was up front. I'm talking about my friends that was there. We was FaceTiming, and I was like, and every now and then I grasped, man, because they had us on the edge of the seat. But now, when it got close and we knew we were there, I partied, I rejoiced, I cried, I had so many emotions. It was almost like when Obama won.
Listen, when I hear those type of stories, when I hear black women talking about the emotion that comes behind seeing us rally behind an effort, is that Jackson can do that?
Oh, I know we can.
Hinds County can do that. We can flip Hinds County. Well, Hinds County is Democratic, right? So we mostly have black elected officials here in Hinds County, but how much good does that do if then we go to the state and we can't get the appropriations for our water system, and we can't get the appropriation from the state to give us business districts? So what we got to do is we got to harness that same emotion, we got to harness that energy, and we got to make this thing statewide. Less than 18% of Jackson voters turned out to vote. So less than 18% decided who our mayor is going to be.
Oh, you ain't got to tell me.
Jackson is 30% of so the people who live, I'm sorry, I got tongue-tied.
Take your time.
So Jackson is 80% black. And most of those people live at or below 30% of the poverty line. So what does that mean? That Jackson is made up of poor black people. And if we look at the data and it says less than 18% of the people decided who the mayor is going to be, that means that those people who decided who the mayor is going to be do not look like the people who live in Jackson at large.
I tell y'all that all the time in a term that you can understand. I tell you that all the time. I told you, Fairhaven, Fondren, Eastover, Northeast Jackson, that's who put him in there because the hood don't vote.
And if we want to make sure that we see policy and law and things happening in those places that are not those places. So if we want to see Wood Street look better, if we want to go down in Georgetown or Bottom, Washington D.C., those places are overlooked so much. When we see all this economic development happening, it's happening in Ward 7s and Ward 1. When we look at the 1% sales tax commission and where they made those improvements, all that money was earmarked for Wards 1 and 7. And not all of 7, because 7 shoots straight down the city of Jackson. And I'm telling you, Wood Street sits right in the middle of Ward 7 and does not see a dime.
Oh, I know. And guess what? I tell you again in a term that y'all can understand. They billing around you. Commercial break.
I think that's a good place for a commercial break.
We'll be right back. I told you.
Let's read and learn together. Meet Mason. Written by Sherry Tate. Illustrated by David. Mason is a young, inspired learner. Walk with him as he uses his 5 senses to explore the world around him. Your young one can learn to identify shapes, numbers, letters, and more with Meet Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back to the Heard is the Same. We just going and going and going. So, hey, I was just telling her during the break, I got to put it so my people can understand, because everything she done told you, I done already told you. But you want to hear it like that. That's why I love that she here. That's why I want to hear. See, over there on that side of town, we talk fast, baby. We talk fast. So, hey, can you imagine? Close your eyes and just imagine everybody that's on the city council, on the county board, in the legislature, state, federal, whole 9 yards, everything that run Mississippi. Just imagine if it was all women.
Wow.
I don't care what color, what your background is, just imagine if we had everything, all women.
Well, that would be amazing, number one. But and so let's talk about that, right? So if we did imagine that, what do we have already that would give us an idea of what that would look like? Well, number one, we already know that black women have been saving us so much. Right? So when we look at the fact that we vote in our best interest happens to be the best interest of this country. So we do know at the very least we will have people in office who are making decisions based on what's best for families, what's best for children, what's best for our economy, because we're the most educated, we're leading businesses. We are the fastest growing demographic of small business owners, right? So at least we would know that this leadership will be looking out for families, business, and making sure that our communities are stable. So now, do I believe that every elected official has to be a black woman? Absolutely not. But what every elected official has to be is responsive to what the needs of black women are.
Most definitely.
There's some elected officials
don't forget
that I'm
about
very
us.
proud of. Everybody, it's no secret that I love campaigning. I love to help good people get in office. And one of the things I've been blessed and able to do is help people who do look out for women, who are good, solid candidates who we can trust to do what they say. And while I haven't had a woman candidate win office per se, I have been able to help candidates who look out for black women, and that matters. Right. So we're not just saying every office has to be a black woman, but every office most definitely has to take in consideration that black women are here and our needs need to be met. Most
definitely. Cause other than that, we ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
We ain't going nowhere. We out here now, we multiplying and we having them babies too. I'm just letting you know. So they
look, and the state has said that we have to have the babies.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You ain't got no more options. Can't use no turpentine. Can't be doing none of that. Don't try it. Hey.
Look, and that's real important, right? So when we start talking about that, and that's why, I've said it so many times tonight, and I don't think it hurts to say it again. That's why the Black Women Vote Coalition is so important, because women need to be in community with one another, because just because abortions are now illegal, that doesn't take the need for them away.
It sure don't.
So women need to be in community with one another, because we're going to need people to help us.
Like you gonna need to network with them folks up north up there where they doing it at. So you get with us, you get some love, and you gonna make some good friends that you ain't gonna have to watch a man or your purse around. We just gonna watch the voting and love on you and tell somebody else to get involved and go vote. Cause see, I'm gonna tell you my problem. I see so many households with kids that's over 18, especially females that have babies, grandmothers that have 4 or 5 girls or 6 girls or 3 girls or 2 girls, and it's not even important to them to go vote. And then when somebody like me come around, Chantel, you a dinosaur. Chantel, you do all that old folks stuff, And I'm like, why y'all ain't registered to vote? I'll take you down there, but things like this with this platform and what you do, what I do, what every other organization do, we trying to change the mindsets.
One of the easiest ways I think we can do that is, number one, show some grace, right?
Yes.
Because if you're sitting in one of those homes that you just mentioned, let's just look at it, right? So there's data that says 1 out of every 4 black children don't have enough food. So 1 in every 4 households is food insecure. So if you're not eating that, if your family is in a position where you don't even have enough money to feed you, voting might not be at the top of your list. But what we got to do, and what organizations like the Black Women Vote Coalition and people like Chantel have to do, is number one, show some grace, because everybody doesn't know. But when we get there and when we're at your door, we need to connect the dots for people. We need to help them understand, look, last year there was a bill, Senate Bill 555, and that would extend SNAP benefits so that people could get incentives to purchase fresh food. So that helps change some of that data that says 1 in every 4 black children are eating, right? So, but people didn't know about the bill. We did so much advocacy work around that bill, and it eventually did pass. The year before it did not pass. This year it did pass, but people didn't know about it. So that's why we got to knock those doors. We got to get, and I know you're familiar with Dr. Twiner. We partnered with Dr. Twiner over at his food pantry. Now he's giving out food, and I'm there and I'm talking to women about, hey, this is why we need this bill to pass. And when you begin to connect the dots with women, like, you could be getting the things in your home that matter to you the most if you went out and voted, and if you put political pressure on the people who are in office to pass these bills, and then it becomes real for them. And then it matters, because then I can see a direct connection between what I need and voting. Because sometimes it's like, man, I don't want to participate in that. We don't have what we need anyway. They don't look out for us anyway. And then that's when we start talking about, well, what if a black woman was in office? She knows what you need because she needs it too. You know what I'm saying? So then we begin to see this political participation. And at the end of the day, if we're going to change the political landscape, we can't do it from the outside.
Sure can't.
We got to be in the game to win the game.
And I love being in the game, knocking on doors. So I'm going to fit right on in with talking to y'all and telling y'all to come on. Because this shit, you heard what she said then. If you vote, you can get you some more stamps. Let me put it to you so you can understand.
And you know what? Sometimes that's when we just got to call a spade a spade. Just recently, the governor sent back federal funds that we have given us PEBT. So that's EBT benefits. He need to shake his syndrome. For women who are, for families who are suffering. Now, we are in some unprecedented times, right? Inflation
Most definitely.
Listen, I was at the grocery store, and for a pack of butter, the 4-pack of butter was $5.87.
You ain't gotta tell me. I've been buying groceries 30 years.
Listen,
I was so scared, baby. I never did qualify for it.
I know.
Inflation
the way that it is, how would you have the nerve to turn away benefits that could help the most vulnerable people?
That's already poor working paycheck to paycheck. And even with 725, if you got state tax, federal tax, medical stuff, you are literally making $4.25 what they was making back in the 80s.
Listen, I guess the thing for tonight is we need Mississippi to catch up because y'all gotta feel like we in the early 1900s.
When you, let me tell you something, I think outside the box. I heard my cousin, I got a cousin that's a nurse practitioner. She makes some pretty nice money. And hell, they struggling. The nurse is struggling. The lawyer's struggling. Why you think it's so many traveling nurses that's leaving, go and get the money? When the average household lives to their money.
That's right.
You know, you live to the money that you make. But when you lay out your net from your gross, along with your expenses, you done went to school, you're paying student loans, you got a child in college, you just had a baby, you know, just trying to live on an everyday basis, and it don't make a difference whether you high class, middle class, or low class.
That's right.
Due to the fact ain't nobody voting, we all in the same.
And you know, I think what COVID did for us is it took the lens off, and it kind of put in. Now we know that the playing field is by far not even, nor is it equal. But in some ways, COVID put a lens and kind of made the disparities between the haves and the have-nots glaring, right? And inflation is out of control. We have state officials who are stealing money from the welfare system. That money is earmarked for the most vulnerable people. That's why it's so important that we connect the dots around why should I concern myself with politics? Well, because if you don't, you'll continue to suffer in silence, and that's why we're here, to give voice to the voiceless.
And you know, so when that took place, you know, I thought about it. They would have never got away on our grandparents' watch. You know that they would have never got away long as they got away on their generation. And you know what? I think back to my friend girls, baby daddies, you know, they kids is older now, and I think back in the day when he used to tell her, I paid that money. They took that money out of my check, they did this, they did that. He was actually telling the truth. And guess what? Fast forward when they found out how they been robbing us, guess what? His children grown. He called his baby mama. She couldn't wait to call me. She said, he told me, you called Chantel. Chantel remember. You don't remember nothing. Each time she went to confront him about child support money, he never changed his word. I paid it. And guess what? He did pay it. She just wasn't never getting it.
Well, you know,
and many other poor black mothers who was raising their kids and stuff, who depended on that money. They was telling the fathers that the mothers was getting the money.
Well, it's no secret that our welfare system is heavily flawed, and we know why.
Most definitely.
You know what? And this is what here's the thing, though, right? The fact that we still have TANF, the fact that we still have SNAP benefits, all of these things, in a deeply racist state like Mississippi, the only reason we still have those systems being funded and still in place is because black women and black families are not the greatest recipients, are beneficiaries of those systems, right? So there's obviously some other people who benefit more than black people from those things. Otherwise, they wouldn't be.
Most definitely, because they would have been cut us out. Girl, you know if we were minority on that money, they would have been cut us out. So, but our people got to know that.
Well, that's where we come in. We got to keep lifting these stories up. We got to keep inviting women from all backgrounds to the table. Continue to talk about those lived experience. Continue to ask women what it is that they want to see changed, and then give them some options.
I was just looking up here at the comments. She said that, you know, she was pretty hot behind that Monica. Monica went to go vote. She was so excited. She had got her rights and stuff back. She was so excited she was able to vote. I helped her iron out everything. And she called me and she said, I done went to 3 different places that they done told me to go and all of them closed. Starting with Black Chapel. I said, they closed. She was like, yeah, I've been riding around for 2-3 hours. She went back downtown to make sure this is where she go and vote. She couldn't find no polls open.
Oh wow! So one of the things that's real important is to be vote ready. So everybody needs to be vote ready. That means the same way you plan for a trip.
Right.
What you want to do is have your election day plan. That means know where your polling location is. And in this case, I know she knew where her polling location
was closed.
and when she got there, it was not closed. Well, then she needs to understand who her election commissioners are. On election day, those election commission hotlines are open. We need to be over calling.
Right.
And when we see things that are not right in our polling places, and the other thing that we need to do is we need to be volunteering. We need to
Right.
we need to be signing up to be poll watchers and poll workers, because that way we can be on the front lines when things are not as they should be, because we know that voting is so important, and that's why we see so many discrepancies at election day. That's why we see people being turned around at the polls. That's why we see the Voting Rights Act being repealed now, because they want to make sure we're disenfranchised. So on election day, you cannot give up. It is so important to continue to go, because at the end of the day, if you cannot cast your ballot at your polling location, you can always go down to the circuit clerk's office and get an absentee ballot.
And that's where she went. And baby, she went right on down now.
And so we got to make sure that, number one, we have those voting plans.
Right.
Before election day, number one, know who you're going to vote with, because not only should you be making sure you vote on election day, but you should be making sure the people you love and care about are also voting on election day. You should know where your polling location is. And sometimes we do see polling locations change, but that's why it's important to know what district you live in. Hinds County is comprised of 5 different districts. Look and see who's your election commissioner. It's either going to be Kadada Brown, who's in the election commissioner for District 1, Tony Johnson, who is the election commissioner for District 2, Jamel Clark, he's in District 3,
Take your time.
Yvonne is in District 4, and I cannot recall and Ms. Horton is in District 5.
You got that? Write it down, and hey,
And
you
all
can rewind.
all that information is found on Hinds County's website.
Right.
And you can also find the information on the Mississippi Secretary of State's website. Or you can reach out to organizations like the Black Women Vote Coalition, and we can make sure that you are vote ready.
Take that information down, y'all, because you're going to need it. And guess what? We're going to be doing this right here on your door. Because you know once I get on board, hey, we're going to go up and down like we trick-or-treat. Up and down the streets. And you rural areas, y'all going to have to come on out them gravel roads.
You know what? What's interesting, and this is another thing I want us to do, is be in community. So we're talking. What I found is those rural areas are voting. Those county areas, they are absolutely voting.
Well, hey, y'all city folks gonna have to come out and vote.
That's right. All of us need to exercise our right to vote. In November the 8th, we have judicial races that are coming up. Everybody needs to be making sure they go out and hit those polls on November the 8th. Make sure you're voting for good judges, because those are the people, when we talk about folks getting these low bonds, when we talk about our Chancery Court judges, now Chancery Court judges don't set bonds, obviously.
Right.
They deal with family law. But we know that where do issues start?
Yep.
In homes. If all the data points to, if all our elected officials are saying the crime is so high because of domestic issues, then we need to make sure that we have judges in place that are keeping families together, are making the best custody hearing decisions,
right.
Making sure that families are safe, stable, and secure.
And a 2-parent home. Because everybody done got used to this single stuff.
Well, you know what? I think the makeup of black families are very different now, right? So whatever the makeup of your family is, what we need to do is make sure that they have the necessary tools to be successful. Because strong families equal strong communities. Strong communities make a better state. Don't
be calling me asking me what judge your son gonna see, where you can actually put him in there. Look, if you get involved and vote,
that's right.
And get involved so you can vote November the 8th, you won't have to be calling me asking me, Red, who's serving this month? What judge serving this money? How this judge is and all this and all that. So you get out and vote November the 8th, you gonna know who you put in that seat.
That's right. And I think, when we talk about these judicial seats, a lot of people don't show up to vote. We gotta vote, and we gotta show up every single time there's an opportunity to vote, because every time there's an opportunity to vote and we don't take it, that means that people who don't have our lived experience then have to make policies and judgments about us and our lived experience.
And you've been living it. You already been living it.
That's right.
We already been living it, so why not change it? We don't like it. I know I don't. I can speak for a couple of folks. I don't like it. I don't like the feeling that it give me. I don't like what's going on. I don't like it. And I wish I could divide myself up in 20 and go in there and vote 20 different times.
Well, look, you can't divide yourself, but what you can do is make a goal that every time the polls open, I'm taking 20 friends.
People, right, and that's what I do. That's what we do.
You gotta make this be so normal.
Right.
When this weekend, so many of us are traveling to Memphis to the game. It's very normal to say, hey, you going to Memphis? So on election day, it needs to be very normal to be like, oh, you went and voted yet? You got your voting plan together? You vote ready?
Be sticker ready. We gonna see y'all. We want to see y'all sticker. Make sure you got your sticker on November 8th. And these are issues that touch each and every last household. I'm gonna tell you like my granny used to say. If you a mother of a boy, they gonna get a traffic ticket or something. Ain't no way around it. And if you a mother of a girl, you might as well get ready to be a grandmama by her. That's just life. That's just nature. So I'm just letting you know, with these judges that you need to put in place that's going to hold these criminals accountable and going to keep these families together without any friendly favors and who went to sorority with you and Cousin Pete got a baby by him and all that, won't none of that matter if you put somebody up in there that's going to be in your best interest when your problems come around.
That's right.
That way you can use prayer and the worldly way. Because you already know you're going to need both of them now. But I'm telling you now, after November 8th, and after them people get sworn in and somehow, don't be calling me talking about Red who on the bench. Because I'm going to say, go back. I'm going to tell you like Tupac said, go back, rewind that track, and listen to my girl on that show. Because we told you. You had fair warning. And then now after she leave, we still going to be talking about it. I'm going to be sharing it on my page so those can get involved. You're right here local. You pass downtown all day, every day. It don't take less than 15 minutes to go in there and register to vote.
That's right.
And then half of y'all, majority of y'all, to each his own, you can sign up at the welfare office over the phone with your worker. And I said it then and I say it now. If every black woman that got a case at the welfare office, if we get out and vote the right way and cast our ballots toward stuff that will help us in our everyday life and our kids and our grandkids, we'll flip it like Georgia.
I most definitely agree.
We'll flip it like Georgia.
Or we can make a significant strides to that point.
Locally, not on that level. I'm talking about locally. We on national news for all the bad stuff. We'll be on the news then for something good, but they probably won't report it. But all the women that's at the welfare office, if we go ahead and do this and flip it, guess what? Everybody go live at the same time. We'll get it out there across the world. That's how we'll do that.
But Chantel, I just put in the comments for on the live stream ways that people could send me their contact information. If you're out there, if you've been listening, if you've been saying, look, I'm interested in the Black Women Vote Coalition, I want to talk to you. I want to hear your story. I want to be able to give you a voice in this political landscape of Hinds County. Reach out to me through that form, and I'll definitely give you a call back so we can get you started, get put you to work to make a change for your family.
It don't get no better than that. Trish, thank you. I just love the words on it. And it fit my character. Thank you so much. Hey y'all, we done had a straight business tonight. I forgot to even tell y'all the phone number. I'm so sorry. But hey, lock it in. Cause we on twice a week. Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Friday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. Get involved. If you want to be a guest on the show, get in contact with me. If you know a mother who have lost a child or a family member, get in contact with Miss Felicia Marshall with Grant Me Justice. And you already know, if you want an honest housekeeper, somebody gonna keep your secrets. If you left your wife and you got a new wife, I keep households separate. They business gonna stay in their house and your business gonna stay in your house. I ain't worried about none of my check on the counter, baby. This loyalty is real. Heavenly Hands Cleaning Service, get in contact with me, 770-866-3683. And y'all already know, my people trying to bring me up to the new sign of the times. I've been on referrals for 30-some years. So, you tell me something new, I'm going to jump on board. But I want to thank my guest for coming tonight. Hey, like I said, she cut from the right cloth, baby. This organization she had, I love the name of it. I love what it stands for. I just love it. So I don't see, she done gave you all the information. If you get out and vote, you can get you some more food stamp. You get out and vote, you can get you some. Let me tell you what's crazy. In 1996, a HUD certificate in Jackson, Mississippi was worth less than it is now.
Lord have mercy.
Now, in 2022. And that's because you all are not voting. They have literally changed the laws to where you can't take it out of perimeter. You can't literally take it out of the hood areas of Jackson because they go by zip codes, other than the unit of the house. And when people come to me and ask me, why is this, why is that, I say, have you voted? Chantel, they gonna do what they want to do. I said, well, hell, they sure live doing what they want to do. That's why you standing up here asking me, why is it like that? You got to vote. You got to lay it up. You got to tell them what you want. Make a long story short, you got to literally tell them what you want, hold them accountable, and then pop up down there with some chocolate chip cookies every now and then and say, hey, I come down here and see what y'all doing. How y'all doing? Y'all remember me? I voted for you. You know? You got to do that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Other than all the times when you have problems. See, y'all only want to run to them when you got problems.
Well, now let's talk about it because that's why they're there.
I know I'm talking about when you ain't voted.
Oh, okay.
The ones who ain't voted go to them with their problems more than the ones that we do vote. But they don't pay neither one of us no attention because it ain't enough for us doing it. As she said, if you can't change my paycheck, why would I listen to you?
That's right.
That's what the good people like us in the hood that suffer loss for the homicides. You know, 100 and some homicides last year.
151?
58.
Oh, Lord.
Well, we exceeded the national level. It's 90-something this year. You know? But nobody is saying nothing. It's not an urgency because they know the hood can't stop their paychecks. Yeah, we go down there and we do this and we say that, but it's only a handful of us. And the handful of us that vote, we don't hold the power to get rid of the chief, get rid of the mayor, because we ain't put him in there. the ones that put them in there, they good with them. They should not get shot down.
That's right.
You know, everything that go in their neighborhood, they got the security to keep it hush-hush from JPD. And that's why I always say, the white churches, the people who don't look like us, you all got to care about that neighbor. You know, only thing separate us is that bridge. Literally. And that railroad track. And most of them travel that way every day. They know what goes on. They see it on the news. They watch the same news that we watch. Just like they go through the same water crisis and everything that we do. But they are the ones that keep voting them back in there. And they don't listen to us because it ain't enough for us voting. But see, people like you that have these organizations that can go out and reach the people and let them understand little small things like that they do not know, that will grasp their attention to get them to understand it's something in it for you.
That's right.
It's something in it for you. You know, I'm not just asking you to go stand out here in the rain, you know, and you just got your lace front did. I'm asking you to stand out here in the rain for your lace front, and then you go get that extra $300 and shop high on the shelf. You ain't got to be down low no more. You know, you look up high when you on the shelves at the grocery store. And that's what people need, because then they will get involved when they realize, hey, it's something in it for me. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, we just been going and going and going like an 18-wheeler. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. As I say, come back. And as it get close to election time, I sure enough want to have you back, because then you going to know who's going to be on the ballot.
That's right. I love to come back and talk about some of the women that are running for judge.
Yes.
And we have some really great candidates. We have some overqualified women who are looking to become some of the next Chancery Court judges, the county court judges. All those things are on the ballot this coming November, and we need to make sure that we are keeping good folk in office.
Oh yes, I'm sure enough gonna have you back before then, so the artists will know their characters and what they stand for.
That's right.
And we gonna go and try to put them up in there. And when you see them out to eat, they'll speak to you. The men don't speak to you. You know they don't speak to you. Y'all have a good night.
Y'all have a good one.
And thank you.